Hi, everyone. Welcome to Spill the Tea Radio, where we interview awesome singer-songwriters and those who influence their lives. Spill the Tea Radio explores the journey, creativity, and inspiration behind the songs. My next guest is fresh off the heels of her fifth studio album release with her signature brand of folk rock. She is making waves in the Canadian roots scene with Songs to a Wild God, which displays her vivid lyricism and acrobatic vocals atop a deft and dynamic rhythm section. She has been compared to Kate Bush, Melissa Ethridge, and Joni Mitchell. With her skillful balance of grit and grace, she powerfully embodies a rare and striking duality that leaves audiences wordless in wonderment. So, let's spill the tea with Mallory Chipman. Welcome back, Mallory.
Thanks so much, David. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you back on the show. You have been globetrotting. You've been doing a lot of stuff. So let's get the update from you. It's easy for me to say. But first of all, I saw a post on your Instagram that you were in Los Angeles. Were you there laying down your star on the Walk of Fame, or what were you doing in Los Angeles?
I, one day, big dreams, but I was actually there totally not work related, which is rarely how I get to travel. So it was super nice. I went with a couple of girlfriends to see Joni Mitchell play at the Hollywood Bowl.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, so it was pretty spectacular.
And were you singing along? And did people say, "Wow, there's another Joni Mitchell in the crowd"?
I was actually trying with all my might not to sing along to too much of it because, people are there to enjoy her voice. Oh, but it was hard not to.
Well, it's got to be hard for you as a singer, and especially a professional singer, because you have those powerful vocals. I mean, you hear people singing beside you, and it's kind of but a professional singer just belts it right out. They can't help themselves. So I guess probably people around you maybe maybe they probably would have appreciated hearing Joni in stereo. Listen, last time you were on the show, we featured your song Soft Shoe. And that song was a song that's very near and dear to you. It was a song that was about your grandpa and how you used to dance with him. How is this album that you've just produced? How is that different from other albums that you have or EPs and LPs that you've done in the past?
Well, this is the first full-length album I've put out since 2020, so it's been a long time coming. It's unique in the sense that it's the first album that I've recorded in different periods of my life. I actually recorded parts of it 2 years before I recorded other parts of it, and it was done over a course of multiple sessions spanning about, yeah, 2.5 years. And what was really interesting about that in the process being different was that, my musicality changed. The arrangements of these songs that I played live even changed over those 2 year spans. So
Mhm.
it was a really um testing kind of process to go, am I comfortable capturing something in this singular moment that may change and then observing it has changed 2 years later and it's not out yet. And I recorded it then and now it feels different. Do I still honor that old version of the tune, or do I want to go back in and record it again? And both happened in the process. I kept some of them. I got back into the studio for others. But it really just sort of exemplified to me how much the artistic experience is in process and
Mhm.
progress, and reminding me that it's so dynamic, it's ever changing. And so often recordings feel so singular in that they are capturing one moment in time that I haven't really felt that development piece in a recording like I did with this one. But allowing it to have the latitude to be recorded over a longer period really, gave me the opportunity to see that in a new way.
You've been writing music for quite some time now. How have you seen your writing, your structure, your poetry, your messaging? How have you seen that change over the course of five albums?
When I began writing for my first record, I wrote almost every song without lyrics first. So I was working kind of more in the mind of a non-vocal instrumentalist, thinking about melodies and chords and rhythmic concepts. And then over time, and especially during the lockdown era of the pandemic, when I had a lot of time to be alone with my thoughts, um, I sort of got into writing poetry again without music at all. And it had been years since I'd done that. Um, but in kind of approaching it from that angle, I got comfortable writing lyrics or lyric-like poems without any musical accompaniment. And then I shifted my process over, and not that it's now only that way, but this album was written almost all lyrics first, and
Mhm.
then building the sort of musical world around those to support them. So it was a very different process for me in that sense. And my EP from last year was sort of a um, very specific musical approach where I was writing based on birdsong melody. So again, that was very structured. Here's the melody first, lyrics come after. So this is really like probably marking the first record in my catalog where it's been the flipped approach. And I'm kind of loving it in a sense. It's feeling at least refreshing for me, but also really allows the story to be the focal point.
I'm always interested to find out how artists come up with the names for things. So, we'll talk about the song that's coming up, I Am Slumber, but songs to a wild god. Like when I see that or when I hear that title, I conjure up things in my mind about what the songs might be like. How did you come up with that name? Why that title for this particular recording?
The title's inspired by a poem by a poet named Tom Hirons, who wrote a poem called Sometimes a Wild God. And I read this poem years ago and was legitimately speechless after reading it. I haven't been moved by a work of art like that in a long time. And it easily became my favorite poem. It was something I was returning back to a lot. And it speaks of this sort of messy, unruly, part human, part animal embodiment of a god that comes in to eat at a dinner table with people, and how it was a little bit scary at first, this unknown creature, and it wasn't pretty, but meanwhile, it's this godly being. And I don't want to give too much away about the poem because I actually want everyone to go read it right now for themselves because part of the way it unravels is in the beauty of the words he chooses. But um, it really spoke to me of this duality of sometimes what I see to be the most sort of sacred things aren't just beautiful, clean, immaculate. I think that's unrealistic.
Mhm.
Um, I think so often where I find the greatest beauty is in the wild. And I think that's partially why that poem really resonated with me. It'll be a beautiful rose bush that's blooming out of dirt, and maybe there are fungi at its feet or whatever it might be. And this duality or juxtaposition of the wildness and the godliness really struck me. And as a person who has been writing a lot about nature and I draw on a lot of place-based experience. Um, that just seemed like it really aligned with a lot of the spirit of my tunes. And so I went with that for the title, and I actually was able to get in touch with Tom and share my record with him, and he was really honored that people are choosing to honor his poem in that way.
I hear the bell ringing. It's time for the rapid fire lightning round,
Ooh,
Mallory. You've done this before, but we've updated some of the topics. So first thing that pops into your mind. Here we go, Mallory. Are you all set?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
What is your favorite place to dine out?
Hanjan, which is a Korean restaurant here in Edmonton.
What's something that absolutely terrifies you?
Having to do a stand-up comedy open mic.
Where is the best vacation destination you've ever been to?
I think Budapest.
What destination is still on the list?
South America.
Would you rather have fame or love?
Love.
What is one word that describes you best?
Open.
What's a New Year's resolution that you have more or less abandoned this year?
To stop biting my nails.
What's your favorite movie?
Moonlight.
What is your go-to cover or karaoke song?
For karaoke, hopelessly devoted.
What animal describes your personality best?
Maybe a dog.
What's your nickname?
Mal.
Would you rather have fame or money?
Probably money.
What's something you wish you were brave enough to try?
Bungee jumping.
What is one word that your best friend would use to describe you?
Caring.
What is your guilty pleasure?
Professional wrestling.
If if you were stranded on a deserted island and you could only listen to one song for the next year, what song would it be?
Maybe The Roving by Bonnie Light Horseman.
What is something about you that very few people know? I love wrestling.
Yeah. More and more, every time I drop that in an interview, though, more and more people are gonna know.
Now everybody knows. And finally, what makes you laugh?
Oh, just about everything. But right now it's my dogs who are wrestling on the couch beside me.
And that's it. The bell is ringing. The lightning round is over. As you did last time, you did an amazing job. Thanks very much for participating. Let's get into one of the new songs that Mallory wrote. This song is from Mallory's fifth studio album titled Songs to a Wild God. Let's take a listen to singer-songwriter Mallory Chipman and her song, I Am Slumber.
I am slumber in the night, yet still I dream in the morning light. I am wonder in the woods, and still I long to be understood. Oh, understood. Well, I am fragile in the cold, but still I break seen, but I can't get started. It always seems how it always seems, doesn't it seem?
That was I Am Slumber by Mallory Chipman. Mallory, tell us about the song and the inspiration for writing it.
I Am Slumber was a song that actually came to me while I was walking in the Edmonton Whitemud Creek area of the River Valley. And it was a morning that I had woken up and got out my front door by 7 a.m. miraculously with my dogs. And it was early enough that the trails were really quiet. I was still like sand in my eyes, sleepy. Um, and when you do get out there a little bit earlier, you might see some wildlife. And I had turned a corner, and saw a mama and three fawns, like a mama deer and three fawns. And I was struck like immediately. Oh my gosh, this feels like such a gift. Praying that please don't bark at these deer or something, because my dogs haven't come that close to that much wildlife in a situation like that. But they were maybe just as struck as I were because they were quiet. But it kind of, again, similar to what I was sharing about the title of the piece, it's about this duality of I was so sleepy, I felt like I was barely awake. It almost felt like, is this some sort of mirage? But also, nothing had been as palpably there right in front of me in so long than seeing this giant being. Um, and it was like, oh my gosh, but here I am so awake. This is life. There's nothing more real than this. And it got me thinking about, yeah, again, all the ways in which that's embodied, both reflected in nature and also reflected in our personal lives. So the ways in which I feel like I am really organized and also feel like a chicken with its head cut off running around a lot of the time, or, the ways that we can embody the both of it all so much. And I think in society, it really likes to narrow us down and say, you're just this one thing. And this song is really about how, no, you're not. You're this, you're that, you're this other thing too. And that was the inspiration for the piece.
Remind people about how to find out more about you and your music. What's the website? What are the socials? Where can they go to find out where you are gigging and more about the songs that you are writing?
Yeah. So you can find Songs to a Wild God on all streaming platforms. You can find my soon to be announced tour, and other information about the album on mallorychipmanmusic.com. And I am on Twitter at Mallory Chipman, Facebook at Mallory Chipman Music, and Instagram at the very cheeky Paranormallery.
We've been in conversation with Mallory Chipman. Thanks for being with us, Mallory.
Thanks, David.